Speech, and our speaker Jan is joining us right now. Let me introduce Jan, Jan Yuanng, CEO at AISA Digital. Jan has over 24 years of information technology, business process, re-engineering consulting, and risk management experiences, and took on senior management roles in wide-ranged industries. He founded a consulting and training firm in 2009 during global financial crisis, and since then had advised many private companies and public sectors across Southeast Asia. Now he is the CEO at AISA Digital. AISA develops localization technology solution focusing on Southeast Asian languages and for the digital markets. Jan, are you with us? Okay.
Yes.
Turn on your
Can
camera.
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Yeah, how are you,
doing?
Mike?
All is good, thank you. We have more and more attendees joining us. I hope you guys enjoying the conference. How are you doing, Jan?
Okay, doing good. Life's going a bit crazy now. With we call here we call it circuit breaker period. Well, also known as lockdown period. But okay, doing well.
Nice.
Remain
So
positive.
at least I see that you have adjusted well, right? So working from home. Great.
Yeah.
So we're going to start the presentation just in a moment. Guys, reminding you about Q&A tab that you have on the bottom of your Zoom window. Feel free to add your questions and we'll go through them after the presentation. Joining our Slack workspace. And yeah, let's get started. Jan, I'm giving the virtual mic to you.
Okay. Right. Okay. Please allow me to share screen. Let's just to make sure that you're able to see my screen. Okay. Okay. So how about that? Are you able to see my screen? Yes?
Yes, I am. And we also see messages from attendees. Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Yes.
So I can see the chat at this moment. Wow. Okay. Right. I guess let's get started. I think first of all, thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Smartcat. Thank you, Max, for facilitating this. I think it's really my honor to be here today. I mean, to see so many, speakers that actually during this fun. Well, I would say a bit more positivity at this moment in the midst of the COVID-19. Yeah, I'm basically based in Singapore, so very much that the same as other country. We are having a crazy time now. We have this COVID situation right now. So the main topic that of my presentation today will be how we can actually make the best use of the machine translation and the post editing. I think when I mentioned this, I think more very much in the context of the Southeast Asia. That's where I'm based. I've been working a bit of quick introductions, about me myself and the companies that I'm leading right now. For the last 2 years, we have been working very much into the Southeast Asia languages, focusing into some of the AI technology, localizations technology, and to find, to develop the solutions to help the localization community in Southeast Asia. So I guess I have to break my presentation today into the two main sessions. The first, I think, we're going to talk about we are in the midst of the COVID-19. I will share with you how in Singapore, how we cope with the COVID-19, and how the localization industries are being impacted by this situation. And to understand that, I will share with you what are the initiatives that we have seen in the last 2 months in Singapore, primarily driven by our government. So and then we talk about, what are the, we have seen some the use of the AI technology that actually to push out some of the communications. Right. So I'm going to share a bit more about that. The first part during the COVID-19. The second part of my presentation, we have to move forward, look into the future. What actually the future hold for the localization industrial players like us, whether we are RSP, the tech solution provider, at the post-COVID-19, what are the opportunities in Southeast Asia, right? So I will just get it started to move ahead. Well, just to let you know, how's the situation in Singapore. Yeah, initially we are doing well, but I think we are very much falling behind in terms of how we're able to cope with the COVID-19. We have seen increased number of cases in the last few days. Well, we're very much into a very tough situation right now. Essentially that, the business in Singapore has already come to the standstill. Well, to better illustrate the situation will be, you look at the left side, this is a very famous, the causeway that connecting Malaysia to Singapore. Now, every day, there are approximately about 300,000 workers coming from Malaysia to Singapore to work. And at the end of the day, they go back to their home. Now, you could imagine 300,000 travels every day causeway. Now, what you will see probably the first time in the history since this causeway was built in 1924, the first time we've seen that it's actually empty, right? Because of the lockdown, closed border situation we have. Now, that's really the situations in Singapore right now. Most of the businesses in the business community have shut down, apart from some essential service provider like hospital, clinic, some essential services like supermarket, grocery shops, who are still open during this period. But I think more or less a lot of food beverages, they got affected. Most of them have shut down. Some of the F&B food are still running, up and running. Will heavily depend on some of these delivery guys to deliver the food that we order online, deliver food to home. Now, the queuing, it's become a norm whenever that we go. Even we go to buy grocery and we have to remain social distance, safety distance, 1 meter away from one another. So this is a really tough situation right now. Of course, on the lighter notes, we have seen during this COVID-19, well, everyone is supposed to stay at home. Well, wear face mask whenever you need to go up to buy some essential groceries. That's very much that everyone need to keep in mind. Now, we are, right now we are also told that, one of the favorite drinks, the bubble tea, is no longer able to run the business. That was a few days ago. And then we have to, come out our own way to make ourselves the bubble tea, right? That's some of the joke that we've seen that, that's how you can, as if pretend yourself to be drinking your bubble tea, right? Now, on the right side, you can see, well, this probably we'll see in a few weeks' time. These are the common faces we will see in Singapore for the guys. Because it was just announced a few days ago, the hairdressers, salon, the barber shop had to shut down for 1 month until the end of May. So I think everyone will look like these guys with long hairs.
Yeah, and I'm very sorry for interrupting you. We just receiving messages from chat telling that there is a loud whistle every kind of 5 seconds. Can you please check if you can do something with that?
Yep, there's no whistle.
It is just right now.
It is better now?
No, we still hear this.
How about now?
Okay, now it seems like it disappeared. Please go on. Okay.
Right. Okay, allow me to give a quick introduction about Southeast Asia. So it might be unfamiliar for some of you, or some of you might have visited Southeast Asia. Just to give a quick overview about Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia, in short, so we call it, ASEAN, comprises 10 countries. We speak generally 12 languages, plus some other the variations of dialects. In terms of populations, we have a total of approximately about 630 million. It's about half of the China population. We speak different languages, and we have the different culture. We have come from really different background, culturally, and the languages, the dialect that you speak, right? So in the way we are, Singapore is really right located at the center of the Southeast Asia, ASEAN, as you can see. Just a quick introduction about Singapore. Well, we have Singapore with multiculturals and multilingual, and we have four main languages: English, Chinese, Malay, and Tamil. All right. You can see these are the demographics. We come from China. Our ascendants are basically they are migrants from China and from India as well. So these are the main races that that make up to be the populations of Singapore. Now you can see we speak different languages, different race, but I think, but in generally, almost everyone speaks English, especially the business community. English is the best way to communicate, to transact, business activities. But that I think majority of us we can speak English comfortably, right? So this is Singapore. Now, I think what happened in this COVID-19, we actually seen that some problems that we, especially the government, faced when they started to communicate, to push some communication down to individuals, especially the elderly group. Now, as I mentioned, we speak 4 major languages with some variations of dialects. It's at least more than 10 dialects. Now, it has become a problem how the government communicates to push some information down to the individual, like elderly group. For example, just a simple message about stay at home. It's not easy to reach out to every single one, and this crazy period that we need everyone's cooperation to stay at home. Not to mingle around with the rest, to minimize the infection rate. We have seen that is the language, the communication gaps that we need to fix during this COVID-19. Now, it has come to the point that, what our government is trying to do is it actually think of the other way, creative way to communicate some of these messages. That includes, this guy, some of you might know him, some might not. He actually is the education minister of Singapore. He actually invented a short rap in 2 dialects to bring across the simple message to the elderly group that stay at home, right? So he appeared this variety show who speak in the dialects. The first time in history we have seen the minister communicate in different dialects, try to bring across the message. So I think the next thing we have seen in the last 2 months is that I need to talk about how actually the Singapore government have done in the last 2 months to help fight against the COVID-19. We have the Gulf Technology, which is the Singapore government's technology development agency, who had to develop this new concept of COFTech. The COFTech it actually is a part of the initiative of our Smart Nations initiative to digitize, the government services in the future, to use the technology to connect to individuals, to the businesses in Singapore, even across some other country as well. So I think we have seen that they really step up, put in a lot of resources across agency to develop some of these single function applications to actually to share the messages, to update what's happening, the COVID-19 in Singapore. Now, these are all the applications. You can find it in one single platform, goway.gov.sg. The main purpose is to try to communicate with everyone's in Singapore, including the business community. Now, to sum up all the application and services, for those who need to go out, they might need to tap on some of these services to look out for some information, where they can go to, how they remain safe distance from one another. If you stay at home, what are the things you need to know? What's the updates about the COVID-19 situations? And same as the other countries, the government has actually launched a lot of stimulus packages, financial helps to individuals, to the businesses. They can access all these informations via the apps, via the website. Okay, so because of the press of time, I just bring out some of the examples and the main purpose of some of the apps, how actually the governments communicate, collect some data, and share information with every single one example during this period. Okay, this is the apps that the government is trying to share some big data, the movement of the people in Singapore. This is the whole map of Singapore. It actually helps every single one individual like us. We might need to plan a trip up to Dubai groceries to engage some essential services. You can actually come here to look at, whether that's crowded, whether shall I go out to this place to acquire the services. Well, you can zoom in, you look at the particular location. For example, in this case, if you want to plan to go out to shop for groceries, it can share the density information about which day, what time. You may choose the less crowded time to actually do your shopping. Okay, so we can see this a lot of sharing this information by government to help every individual to remain social distancing among the community. And for those who might be still looking for some recreations activities during this COVID-19, joggers also share some data about the density of the people in the park, which park is open for accessed by individuals and which has closed. Also a great piece of information to share as we plan to have some, the breeder outside. Well, I think at this point in time, we still very much that's being locked down at this moment. So we can really go out to engage some essential services. Okay, apart from this, we have actually seen the government has actually shared a lot of information about the funding support, who are eligible for this services. A lot of information are being shared via these applications. Now, individuals who are, need to tap on some of this fund, they can actually browse to find out whether they are eligible. They can actually apply for some of the fundings online. In a number of in a few days' time, they might be able to actually receive the money in the bank account. Okay, so this is what we've seen that how individuals are being engaged to communicate, during this COVID-19 using some of the technologies that we can access to. Okay. Even there's the apps that for those who are job seekers who have lost their job due to COVID-19 situations, there's this link to the portal, the job portal, for those who who might be interested to look at where other job opportunity during this period, how to get able to find the next job, during this period. So this is some of the initiatives that are being pushed out so that we are very much being engaged at this point in time through the apps remotely to find out what can we do at this point in time. Okay, and I need to focus more about what actually, in terms of communication from the governments to the businesses, communities, and as well as the individual. Now, it probably is the first time that we have seen the government was leverage on the social messaging apps to actually provide COVID-19's update in not only in English, in the 4 languages. Well, I think this is important actually to push some of this message to the individuals. Now, how they're able to do it in the 4 languages, I will share with you in the next slide. How they use the AI technology, AI translation technology to speed up some of this localization process. These are examples that I actually receive every day. I subscribe to 3 languages. The other languages are not shown as Tamil. I can understand 3 languages, but not Tamil. Averagely on a daily basis, we receive about 5 to 10 messages through the WhatsApp, to our smartphone, to share with us what's happening about the COVID-19 in Singapore and what are the measures, things that we need to take on a daily basis, right? So you can see a lot of data information are being generated during this COVID-19, driven by the government. Now, how they're able to actually, within such a short time, they're able to translate some of this. Before I jump into that, we also seen the wide use of the multilingual infographics. Infographics is good for the IG, some of the social services like social messaging apps, WhatsApp, Telegram, to share some information that we need to know about the government funding support, some of the things as well. So you probably can see right now that actually there's an increased opportunities for the desktop publishing, okay, at this point in time. Okay, as well as some of the translation. Okay, so these are some of the examples that share that how we focus a lot in the communication during this period. Now let's share with you, this is the articles to actually tell us how the government tackle the translation within such a short time. They started using the WhatsApp and Telegram to update everyone about the COVID-19. I think one of the main purpose of doing it is false news, or in other words, fake news. Okay. They're trying to close the communication gaps of COVID-19, across or between social messaging apps and the social media platform like Facebook, the IG. Now that's to leave no rooms for some fake news or someone will share some inaccurate information about situations that we have seen in 1 or 2 incidents that have caused people hoarding for food, toilet papers, toilet roll as well, at some point. So this is how they try to tackle some of these fake news, shared across the social media platform. Okay. Last, actually, we need to share with you that this article it mentioned the government actually use heavily on the AI translation. In short, we call machine translation, to translate the English informations to the other languages. Okay, and they also engage some of the civil servants who are able to understand different languages to do directing services. In this industry, we usually call it post-editing, to translate all the social media updates and infographics. So we have seen this COVID-19. We've seen that that's a new initiative, the new ways of the government is trying to use the AI translation to push out this information in different languages within a short time to be in line with some of the press release, social media. Okay, so I think we can see.
I'm very sorry for interrupting you. We just have 4 minutes left for the presentation,
yeah.
And we also have to go, need to go through the questions at the end. Just to remind you, the attendees, you have this Q&A tab to leave your questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Now, let's come to the other questions. What are the opportunities for localization industry player like us, whether we are focusing on tech and focusing on the language services? Now, I would see, first of all, well, this COVID-19, I mean, it's crazy. Everyone's get affected. A lot of negativity. I think we should have enough. But I think not everything is doom and gloom. We always look forward to the future. I believe, at the post-COVID-19, there will be a lot of opportunities. No doubt there might be some businesses will be perpetually gone. but we also see there's a lot of new opportunities, for everyone, including those, who are in the localization industry in moving forward. Okay, now what I can see that there's immediate opportunities that at this post COVID-19 or during this COVID-19 to help government to translate, to localize some of these web apps content. Now, a few days ago, I've gone in to see some of the website, the portal. Primarily, a lot of information are still in English. I think we'll see there's a need in the future to translate most of this information in the different languages. So I believe that, that's a lot of opportunities for RSP, some of us actually can tap on to work with the government to localize some of this information. Well, we will see the increased technology used to shorten the time or push out this information, communication data. There will be, for those who might be doing a software development, there will be a lot more open API services that can connect to the government to integrate some information together. Okay, so I think in looking in the longer term of Southeast Asia, just to share with you some of the potential, what we call a digital markets, the internet economy, we will see there will be, a big growth potential in Southeast Asia. These are the GDP of the economy will expected to grow tremendously. From by 2025, we are expecting about 240 billion from 72 billion in 2018. Now, some of the services you might need to take, you might need to focus on some localization needs as well. It's definitely will be dominated by the e-commerce. I think some of you have seen that e-commerce is really picking up, in Southeast Asia, having AliExpress, Alibaba in Tencent, Jingdong. We have a Lazada, it's a really fragmented market we have seen. We see the huge needs for localizations. Well, we also see, in other words, the use of the MT post-editing services. We see that perhaps there's a way to go in localize some of these services, online services that we've seen. We've seen, there will be big demand on the online entertainment, the gaming, the subtitling. We have Netflix in US, we have iFlix in Southeast Asia. A lot of, some of these need to be localized. Of course, we have a ride-hailing apps like Gojek and Grab in Southeast Asia. So all this will have a lot of needs for the localization. So these are the potential, the markets, the Indonesia, Vietnam, and the Thailand. These are the potential, in terms of the domestic market. All of this will require some sort of localization. Okay, now let me just share with you the last few slides about what we've been doing, working on in the last 2 years. As we zoom into examining the use of the MT in some of the Southeast Asia languages, that's primarily our core, what we are doing right now. Let's share with you some of the pros and cons of the use of the MT. I believe they might be the people are skeptical about using some of this technology. Another group might be more ready to tap on some of these services, use of MT. But I think by and large that I felt that there's a need to educate, the use of the MT at this point in time, so that we are able to actually make best use of the MT. Now, some of these points, I don't think it's new to some of you. Just to reiterate, what's the pros and cons. The use of MT, no doubt, high speeds really is the key thing about the MT. It's good for those who have a budget constraint, limited budget, to do localizations. That's probably the most cost-effective options. The use of MT to translate some of the content. Okay. The most suitable contents, as we done a lot of actually evaluation right now, I think the use of MT are very useful for some combination data like emails, translating emails, and the WhatsApp, the web chat, and some of the news or social media content as well. Well, they're also good for some of the user-generated contents, the UGC and some of the internal documents for references as well. Well, the flip side of use of MT, inconsistence of the MT outputs in terms of quality, it's really much depend on the project complexity, the nature of contents that you'll be using. Another thing we look at this will be if you try to use MT to translate some of your brand messages, that's not the way to use the best use of MT. Probably that you need to consider the other options, right? Now, definitely the use of MT alone is definitely not going to be same as professional translation quality. Right, so these are the, that's how we understand, some of the MT, how we can best use the MT. In terms of post-editing, probably the options is better from the MT alone if you're looking for more accurate, more fluencies and clarity in terms of translation quality. If you need to translate, some contents are more culturally sensitive, the MTPE will be the better option. Higher productivity as compared to human translation. It's more cost efficient than the human translation, as a chart that we have done some study that in general average cost of human translation is it's higher than the post editing rate. So
yeah, I'm very sorry for interrupting you again. Yeah, we have to wrap up. Just maybe last 30 seconds.
Yes.
To share some takeaways.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Right. Yeah. This is the what we see. The flip side will be it's closer, more costlier than the machine translation alone. It may be close, but not something that we able to get close to the human translation quality in moving forward. So just to share the last two slides about what are the gaps we see, the needs and challenges in terms of technology. We are still very much into the infancy stage in terms of the technology in Southeast Asia. Still a lot of work needs to be done. Not technology is needed, but we see there's a great potential as we moving to we see the potential growth of the digital markets. Now, for post-editing, we have done a lot of work in terms of understanding the post-editing. In moving forward, still a lot of work needs to be done to fine-tuning, improving some of the post-editing criteria. We need to collaborate with some of the university education institution, improving our evaluation framework, trying to understand a little bit more linguistic challenge of some of these Southeast Asia languages. Well, as I say, yeah, we're very much into at the beginning. It's still a long way to reach, what we expect to move into, like as a mature, like in the European market. Yeah, so this is the work that we have done. So I think to summarize, there's a lot of opportunities. No doubt that we all struggling deal with the COVID-19, but let's look forward to be post COVID-19. Maybe the MT, the MTP is probably one of the alternate or some of the processes the LSP should consider as we see the businesses are cutting down in terms of the localization budgets. Probably there's some things that they will consider to how we actually were able to shape the localization industry in South Asia, right? So I think I come to the end, Max, about my presentations.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you very much. It was a very interesting presentation. And as we say, per aspera ad astra, we wish you success with, promoting your services to the audience, to the global audience. Unfortunately, we don't have much time to go through the questions. So we will share the questions with you so you can answer, and then we will reply back to our attendees. And this is a message for our attendees, guys. Don't think that we reject your questions. All of them will be answered. We just technically cannot answer all of them. The time is limited, right? So don't worry, you will get your answers. Just you will need to wait for a bit of time. Jan, thank you. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you. My pleasure. Thanks.
Yeah, it was a pleasure for us too.